women leading marches across this country and really around the world.
Men, children, and generations of women who feel that under a Trump presidency, their rights are being threatened.
They're going to probably reverse Roe v. Wade, take away abortion rights in this country.
A prophetic warning from an informed protester there. That was at the Women's March in Washington in 2017. Fresh off Trump's upset electoral college win that galvanized so many millions of Americans across many issues. And there were some who had been complacent for a wide variety of reasons. A D.C. elite and media that had all but assured the nation that we would have President Clinton, that Trump would lose. There was a drifting disappointment, of course, as well with Democratic leaders and modern politics. Over the ensuing 4 years, those kind of concerns definitely took a back seat for many liberals to prioritizing an all-out effort to organize and combat Donald Trump's actions in office and organize a response, which we should know proved both swift and effective. New voters and all that enthusiasm led to the trouncing of Trump's party in that next midterm election, fortifying resistance in D.C. And then, as mentioned in other stories tonight, it was part of that movement that helped oust Trump in 2020, a winning coalition that in many ways we can measure was motivated as much by stopping Trump as any other affirmative view of any particular candidate, though President Biden clearly proved up to the task, winning over that coalition and benefiting from it. That was then. Today, the stakes for stopping a second Trump term are, by those same metrics, arguably equal or higher stakes. Trump-defied election results was linked to a violent effort to stop the certification of President-elect Biden on January 6th, 2021. And nowadays, if you follow it, Donald Trump actually campaigns more openly and directly than before as an autocrat.
John, I only want to be a dictator for one day. It's nice to have a strong man running your country. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. That's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly. NATO was busted until I came along. Well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? No, I would not protect you. What happened to her husband? Where is he? It is the China virus. It came out of Wuhan.
That's just some of what he said recently. So you're facing the very person that motivated so many before. And yet, I want to tell you something tonight. It's notable that history is not repeating itself right now, at least not yet. There is strong evidence of fatigue with politics in America, fatigue with civic engagement, or even just following the news in general. A large portion of Americans, 65%, say they're just exhausted with politics. And that's just the broad part, which reflects years of strife and crises from 2016 to COVID, to job losses, to wars, to seemingly endless digital amplification of all of this. It's in your life, it's on your phone, it's on the internet. So that's the broad part. But part of this, from what we can tell, is also specific to how people feel inside the Trump opposition, a kind of anti-Trump burnout with an exhausted resistance, as the New York Times recently documented. Democrats struggling to sustain the, quote, searing anger toward Trump that powered those movements for nearly a decade. That's the general fatigue or resistance exhaustion. And then, try to always cover it all with you, so I'm not going to just leave it there. There's also the other elephants in the room. Presidential elections usually bring out the most engagement. We know that more people register to vote. We know there's more attention on both sides. Turnout always higher in the election year than the off years, right? You follow politics. I bet you know about that. But even with all of that history around, the likely Biden-Trump rematch is just not what people want right now. A vast majority say they would like anybody else to run.
Americans are not thrilled about the possibility of a Biden-Trump Part 2.
Trump or Biden?
Stop it. Neither.
Trump or Biden? Neither. Who would you put? Myself.
Just raise your hands. Are excited by a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump.
Depressed is a better word.
Yeah.
Unexcited or outright depressed? You could almost hear this as a modern version of the 1960s mantra from Tim Leary. We may have this visual. Turn on, tune in, drop out. Little wavy gravy, a little weird, right? They used to say, turn on, tune in, and drop out. That was the counterculture call to try to do something other than just live in the system as it was presented at the time. Now, there are many different ways to interpret that, but bottom line, that's what we're hearing in so many ways today. It's the system, man. It's the choices we're being offered, or the limited choices we're being offered, and add a little bit of sort of internet addiction and digital intensity. And a lot of people, maybe not you watching the news, maybe not us following it, but a lot of people would like to just drop out. Is there a rebuttal to that? Well, one of the most effective Democrats on the scene, former Speaker Pelosi, says feelings are fine, but you have to put them aside sometimes and act. Now I want to bring in political strategist Rachel Bitecofer, author of Hit 'em Where It Hurts, How to Save Democracy by Beating Republicans at Their Own Game, and a psychiatrist, Dr. Callie Cyrus. Welcome to both of you.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of dig into what I set up in the previous segment there, Rachel, which is people on the left, resistance, etc., according to many measurements, are now a little tired. And then writ large, that exists within a broader mood in the country where people are exhausted. What do you see here?
I mean, I don't think it's an accident that people are feeling exhausted. I think back to the last time, I didn't have that horrible feeling in my stomach, and that was election night in 2016. We're talking about almost a decade of high tension politics. But I will say this, it's part of our fatigue is by design. This is an intentional strategy. Flood the zone, constant crisis, and you become numb. And I've been talking a lot about how not me, like we, but we as a society have really almost become like crabs in a pot. The temperature of the water has changed so much. And yet, because it's happening step by step, we don't realize it's close to boiling. So although I'm definitely sensitive to and worried about as a strategist, fatigue, I do think that it's important to convey to people that everything we've done up to this point is all for naught if we reinstall a man who will never leave office into the White House. And although people are tired, this is the moment. If you've ever wanted to live through history and you were like, oh, the revolution, I'd have been 1776ing it, or I'd have been on the freedom rides. This is it, folks. Like this, saddle up and get tough, because we're on a fight for everyone's freedom. And it's going to take a whole band of people to pull it off. Yeah, I mean, I'll push back slightly, Rachel. I mean, that makes sense, but that's sort of the logical or intellectual argument for re-engaging. And so, Doctor, to you, and then I'll, of course, let Rachel respond. But, Doctor, how good are logical arguments against very strong emotional feelings? And will people hear them if they've already, as I mentioned, followed Timothy Leary's advice and tuned out?
Good rational arguments will rarely get through if your brain is flooded with overwhelming emotions. And I think that's the problem, is that our brains have been flooded for so long for reasons outside of Trump and Biden in the election. But now this is on top of all of those other reasons. And there's no sense that our brains are going to have a moment to relax anytime soon either. And it's pretty impossible for the brain to continue to engage and fight for something that it feels like it actually has no control over the outcome. Why continue to fight against electing with Trump when it feels like he's getting off on all of his court cases? Why continue to fight for reproductive rights when it feels like every state has its own, power to take those rights away from you? There's only so much you can do by putting your emotions, your hope, your actions to try to get an outcome that's just not happening, and someone can swoop in with more power and take that outcome away from you.